a show that tackles the big issues affecting the BVI and the rest of the Caribbean. Searches for answers to today's big questions and gives viewers a unique perspective on developing stories. Follow the big story with me, Kathy Richards, only on GTV. This show is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Cyril B. Romney Turtola Pier Park, NV Salon, Nail Spa and Barbershop, Tisley Cross Deliciously Smooth Cider, and Digicel, simply more speed, reliability and entertainment.
Tisley Cross Cider. Tisley Cross Cider. Deliciously smooth.
Good afternoon, Honorable Malone. Thank you so much for agreeing to speak to me on this what some may want to call a very interesting time that's happening in the United Kingdom. And I know for a fact that you are keeping a close eye as to what's going on. Quickly, for those who haven't had an opportunity to get a perspective of what's happening, give us a quick synopsis.
Okay, great. I have concerned myself with keeping up to breast with what happens in the region, especially with the overseas territories of the United Kingdom, and also what's happening in the UK and in actually the EU, because we are in the midst of world crisis, whether it was the storms and the loan guarantees, whether it was the global pandemic, the particular vaccines that we received from the UK, the funding that we've had cut off from us from the EU, and all of what is happening, the war in actually Ukraine, and now we have another crisis on our hands, because I've learned that over 36 ministers have resigned, ministers of government have resigned in the UK, and there are growing calls for the resignation of the Prime Minister. I am concerned about this only as it relates to the Virgin Islands. I'm concerned about this as it relates to the fact that we know that a order has been laid in Parliament, basically suspending. It is being held, but the order has been proven in Parliament and given through the Privy Council and given as a sign-off for suspension of our Constitution, and based on the COI's reports, implementation. We're in the middle of implementation of most, if not all, of these particular measures, and then we have this crisis. So it is concerning to me, and I would say outright, I do not support any installation of interim government or interim administration to run the affairs of the UK. The 67 million people of the UK can handle their own affairs. I don't feel that they should not have the government or the people sort out their particular affairs. There are calls for elections, but we cannot interfere with the affairs of the United Kingdom, and they must be made to work it out.
How can this ultimately affect us here?
Well, it can affect us in that, as you know, that the Minister of Parliament, Lynn Trust, have just advanced the case to the Parliament and have laid in Parliament that the order be made. There are ministers that are resigning. I'm not sure where this will stop. If the government was to, if the government itself was to be dissolved tomorrow, elections held, we're not sure who will then head the foreign and Commonwealth Development Agency, or the Development Agency, yes, and we would then have a new set of ministers, a new set of persons who would have to administer the overseas territories, and the Virgin Islands being in the middle of it. We would then have the permanent, the the permanent staff, civil servants of the UK only to turn to, and we have some issues that we have to address. So we need to be able to have a steady and stable UK government in order for us to see us through this particular period.
Okay, what would you say to the people of the territory in the light of this, and as well to the governor of this territory?
Well, we have a number of issues here in the BVI that we must address, and as we look to convene the House of Assembly, whether it's on the 14th or any other day that we would have coming up, I would seek to address a number of particular issues because we have concerns being raised on the derogatory remarks, that were placed in a particular firm by the Commissioner of Police. We have to know the source of this. The Commissioner of Police cannot investigate himself. We need to know if there's anything to this that was more than just a recruitment particular video. We need to know that we've spent millions of dollars in I think it was a law firm of Withers and who had engaged Sir Jahphix to produce a report, a parallel report, so that we can see if the findings of the COI was equal to that of Withers. They had gathered all of the materials. They actually defended us well during the Commission of Inquiry testimonies, and the only thing missing is the report. We need the report. We paid for the report, and we need the report. We also have the particular issue of all of the 48 measures the people of the Virgin Islands have had required to be abreast of them before, but even now, as it stands, it needs a one-on-one, we need a group-by-group explanation of each of these issues. We saw that a measure came to the table the other day. It was to have been passed in three consecutive votes on the same day. This in terms of the registration of interest. It not only expanded that of the members, voting members or the elected members, but also a number of public officials would have been included in this. A number of board members from statutory bodies would have been included in this. And this is without proper public hearing and education. We have to be mindful of what all we are doing under the guise of expediency, because the question has to be answered. Why the rush? Why the rush is a very important question, and it must be answered. And I will seek to basically put on record the fact that I support that we must come better as a people, as a jurisdiction, in terms of making sure that all of the tenets of accountability and transparency and good governance and whatever it is must be brought up to par, because we must have confidence of administrating, of governance of our people, by our people. But we must, and we could only do this by having the people on board every step of the road.
Honorable Malone, there are some other internal concerns that we're having, and we're hearing discourse that seems to be unsettling the people of the territory. While all of these things are happening around us, talk to the need for us to continue to stay focused.
Well, we must, because we cannot be distracted with the conversation that I'm hearing of late, because we have our economy, we have the particular order as it relates to the constitutional order that we have to look at our constitution. A number of items there. If we are to remain under the political or constitutional status that we have today, then we're governed by a constitutional order which was actually dictated, and it is as a result of the West Indies Act of 1962, give Her Majesty the power under sections 5 and 7 to amend, to delete, to actually suspend our Constitution. We as a people have to determine a number of issues. I've listed these 10 items, and I'll be pleased to list them again. But the fact is that we have to determine what it is that we want. We have to determine what it is that we do not want. We have to determine whether or not we would, in fact, seek self-governance. We have to determine if we need other conversations with other administrative powers. We have to determine whether or not our financial services sector can stand the test of international scrutiny. Well, not scrutiny as such, but in terms of the attacks that we have. We have to know that what room does a tourism product have. We have to become aware that if we continue to seek to fund the repair from devastating, catastrophic events and pandemics and wars, and now this Brexit, and all of this from loan funds only, then just like the Honorable Mia Motley says, it is unsustainable, and no amount of insurance against these would be able to be sustaining. So we have to be mindful that we have to stay focused on what is important to us as a people.
And while all of this is happening, the economy is not getting any better when it comes to the prices of commodities for essential daily living.
The world economy is in uproar. Inflation is as high. I cannot categorically say it is highest it's ever been, but the fact is that look at the pumps, see where the prices are, look at interest rates, see how they're moving, look at the particular cost of transportation, see what is happening there. The cost of anything is up now 15, 20, 25%. Look at what is all around us. The war in Ukraine is basically having the wheat supplier unable to dispense that or disperse that throughout the entire world. It's having an effect on our store shelves. We have major transportation lines who are refusing to sail because it is not profitable anymore with the cost of fuel, the cost of energy that we have. So we have to look and be mindful that we are, in fact, going to be affected by all of this. And we have to put measures in place that will look to lessen the shock of this. And as leaders, as a people, we must be mindful and stay focused on this.
Thank you so much for taking time out to join me via phone. I'm sorry we could not have sat on the set directly to have this discourse face to face. But once again, thank you so much for appearing on The Big Story.
Well, as you say, the events are moving so quickly that you may not have time to dress and come to the studio. But the fact is that we have to keep abreast. I welcome everyone to please stay in tune with what is happening in the region and around the world. We stand in solidarity with the people of Anguilla because they took stands last week, I think it was, in terms of the 13% on goods and service tax that was imposed on the 1st of July. It was part of what was negotiated for the $100+ million EC funding from the particular hurricanes, and that there was not properly, as I'm told, communicated to the people, and now that it's in, they have effects on the cost of the goods to them. So we have to be mindful again that when we had resisted just signing of the $400 million loan guarantee with the stipulations that were cited, it was for good reason. And the Anguilla situation brings it home that we have to be always mindful. Be vigilant is a key word here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Malone. I'm Kathy Richards. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of The Big Story.